To set the record straight, contrary to the remarks of the Senate Majority Leader yesterday, Vermont has not recently passed a GE food labeling law. I mention that just because I'm old-fashioned enough to like to have things clear and accurate in this chamber. It was in May 2014, nearly 2 years ago, that after 2 years of debate, more than 50 committee hearings featuring testimony from more than 130 representatives on all sides of the issue, the Vermont legislature passed and Vermont's governor signed a law, a disclosure requirement for genetically engineered ingredients in food. Now, in this body, here's the difference. After one hearing 5 months ago that only tangentially was related to the issue, and without any open debate on the floor, the Republican leadership has decided it knows better than the state of Vermont. Today, we're being asked to tell Vermonters, and actually constituents in other states with similar laws, that their opinion, their views, their own legislative process simply doesn't matter because we can decide on a whim to ignore them. We're actually being asked to tell consumers that their right to know isn't frankly theirs at all. I think in my state, the presiding officer's state, and all other senators' state, consumers think they have a right to know. We're telling them, no, not so much. I hear from Vermonters regularly, actually a growing frequency, who are proud of Vermont's Act 120. It's a law that simply requires food manufacturers to disclose when the ingredients they use are genetically engineered. It doesn't tell them they can't use those ingredients. It simply says consumers have a right to know. Tell us what you're doing. Now, Vermonters are concerned, some are actually outraged, that the United States Congress is trying to roll back their right to know. And Vermont's not the only state laws are under attack. We just happen to be the state with the fastest approaching deadline for implementation. The bill that we consider today is a hasty reaction, a reaction with no real open hearing to a two-year-old law that's set to finally take effect. It doesn't fully take effect until the end of this year. And instead of protecting consumers and trying to find a true compromise, the bill seeks to continue the status quo and tell the public, we don't want you to have simple access to information about the food you consume. You don't need to know what's in the food. Trust us. We know better. We know better, you consumers. We members of the Senate know better than you do. So we're not going to let you know what's going on. No wonder people get concerned. Vermont's law and others like it around the country are not an attack on biotechnology. Vermont's law and others like it merely require factual labeling intended to inform consumers. All we're saying is if you're going to buy something, you ought to know what you're getting. You said you want to buy it, go ahead. Nobody's stopping you. But you ought to know what's in it. Producers of food with GE products have nothing to hide. You know, you take Campbell's. Here's a multi-billion-dollar brand. Certainly one of the biggest brands in this country. They're already taking steps to label their products. They have to do that to comply with similar laws in other countries. And they said, sure, we'll comply, we'll label. We're going to be able to follow Vermont's law or any other Vermont, or any other state, rather, that says our people kind of like to know what they're buying. Our ranking member on the Agriculture Committee, Senator Stabenow, has had commitments from other CEOs in the food industry. They're ready and able to move ahead with labeling and national disclosure. They actually know that consumers really care about what they're getting. Now, the United States Senate wants to tell those millions of consumers, you have no right to know. We're going to block your chance to know. We're going to keep you from knowing. But they actually want to know. And some of these large companies are saying we agree. An asterisk, a symbol, a factual notation, a product label, that's not going to send our economy into a tailspin or cause food prices to spiral out of control. And again, let's get rid of the rhetoric. I've heard some on the floor of this chamber argue that Vermont's labeling law is going to cost consumers an average of $1,000 more per year in food purchases. Wow. The second smallest state in the nation is passing a law which says simply tell us what we're buying, and we're going to cost consumers $1,000 more per year in food purchases. If the claim wasn't so laughable, we might be able to ignore it, but we found out where that cost estimate came from. Directly from a study paid for by the Corn Refiners Association, based on every single food manufacturer in the United States, eliminating GE ingredients from their food. We're not asking anybody to eliminate anything. We're just saying, if I buy something, and I'm going to feed it to my children, or in my case, my grandchildren, my wife and I are going to eat it, I kind of like to know what's in it. All we're asking for is a simple label. At a time when too much of the national discourse is hyperbolic at best, why don't we set an example for the rest of the country? Try a little truth in this chamber. GE labeling should be the least of our woes. In fact, the bill before us today is to attack another Vermont law. Oh my God, the sky is falling. That law has been on the book for only, 10 years. It's actually similar to a law that's on the books in Virginia, the genetically engineered seed labeling law. Farmers in both Vermont and Virginia have complied with this law, and those selling seed to other states have done so as well. Why preempt state laws that have worked well for 10 years and with which companies are already complying? Are we going to do that because one or two companies, they're willing to spend a great deal of money on donations, feel otherwise? Because GE labeling is about disclosure. Give consumers more information, more choices, more control over what they feed themselves and their families. If we hide information from consumers, we limit a measure of accountability for producers and marketers. I don't know what people are trying to hide in Vermont. Our producers and marketers are proud to showcase not just the quality of their products, but the methods with which they're produced. We're not blocking our markets to anybody, whether with GE produced foods or otherwise. We ought to say, if it works, you got your choice, why have 100 people here say, oh no, we know better than all of you? I'm a proud co-sponsor of Senator Merkley's bill. It provides for a strong national disclosure standard that would give manufacturers a whole variety of options to disclose the presence of GE ingredients in their food. They can pick and choose how they do it. I'm equally grateful to Senator Stabenow. She's fought hard to negotiate a pathway toward a national disclosure standard. But before we're not going to have that, then at least have a real debate, not a cloture vote, no debate, just you poor benighted consumers throughout the country, we know better than you. I'm not going to support any bill that takes away the right of Vermont or any state to legislate in a way that advances consumer awareness. We don't want to have a patchwork of state disclosure laws. then let's move in the direction of setting a national mandatory standard. Certainly one of the biggest food companies in this country are going forward and doing that voluntarily. Well, this week is Sunshine Week. So let's hope the Senate rejects efforts to close doors and not let the American public know. And I hope they'll oppose advancing this hastily crafted legislation and find something that actually lets, whether it's a consumer in Texas or Iowa or Vermont or anywhere else, know what they have.